Welcome to Minecraft. The year was 2023, and this was the year that I played Minecraft's worst Modpack. After beating 100%, I was so frustrated with it that I put the footage away on the cloud, never to see the light of day again. Until now. This is UniversIO. On our journey, we'll build our own universe, unlock new elements, and sleep a lot, all culminating in a final boss summoning that threatens to destroy the very world we just created. Let's dive in. Oh, and you should probably subscribe since that will ease my pain and make all of this worth it. We begin in what promises to be an exciting new idea, where we're tasked with building a whole universe from scratch. As you can see, we are surrounded by nothingness. However, this journal will walk us through making a whole new planet and more. As a reward, we are given a tempad. This is a vital bit of kit, and will allow us to teleport around to saved locations. This right here is the periodic table of elements, and we are going to need to find a way to get every single one of these. We are also given a free void harvester and a philosopher's stone. While our dimension does look really cool, I went ahead and enabled the accessibility art because I can't for the life of me see the ground. Using the void harvester, we can start to harvest the blocks of nothingness, netting us some gluons, up quarks, down quarks, and a bunch of electrons. These are the fabric of what our universe is going to be made up of. In order to use them though, we'll need to be able to craft. So if we press C while we've got our stone out, it'll bring up a crafting grid. Pretty nifty. We'll craft some up and down quarks with some gluons to get us some protons. Then some downs and gluons to make neutrons. Electrons and protons and neutrons will net us some atoms. We can then convert those atoms one to one into hydrogen, and we're getting somewhere. 2 hydrogen craft into 1 helium, and a hydrogen and a helium craft into a lithium. Now, the astute among you may have already noticed this, but beside each element is a number. Its elemental number, if you will. So for early game, we combine 2 1s into a 2 for helium, then a 1 plus 2 into a 3. That holds true throughout this playthrough, but there's going to be more complex ways to combine or divide them. For now, we'll combine hydrogen and lithium to make beryllium, and beryllium and hydrogen to make boron. Now we have everything to make ourselves some gravity, a somewhat important force to add to our universe. If we toggle this on, when we jump we will now finally come back down instead of heading off into space forever. Kind of important. We're making progress. Even though Rome was built in a day, our universe was not, so it is time to grind some nothingness. After crafting up some more helium and hydrogen, we can combine it with our gravity to make stars. If we crash land those into the ground, we'll get some debris called cosmic dust. This is our key to discovering new elements. We'll give it a good throw, and out comes a whole assortment of them. If we crouch nearby, we can pick them up and see what we are missing to make a planet Earth. A lot, it would seem. We have iron, oxygen, and zinc. These also float away, so it's best to try and do this in a corner. After much cosmic dust, we can craft up the elements with our gravity to make an Earth. Plonk! With a planet crafted, I think it's about time we head on down to see the world we have created. First, I think we should probably save this location in our tempad, just in case. A cheeky little tap and we are teleported into chaos. Oh my goodness, what have we created? Everything's on fire. After a brief pause, everything seems to have settled down. Let's chop some trees so we can make a chest or 2. Finally, we are not carrying all the goop we used to make the planet in our pockets anymore. Now for the basic Minecraft grind. One slight issue that we've got is we don't really have a reliable source of food. Kinda don't know how to make that just yet. Thankfully though, trees do drop an apple every now and then. If we combine 8 carbon together, we can make a piece of coal. We'll use that coal to make a campfire. Plop! No fire. I guess we better make some fire starters. Now we have a way to straight up turn our logs into charcoal. Let's see what we have got underground. Well, there's clay and stone. That's about it really. That's fine for now. Night is coming, and I think a sword would probably be a good idea. Before the chaos, let's put some clay on to cook. Oh, witches. I can't deal with witches. I think I'm gonna hide in a hole, since I have no idea what happens if we die here. Not gonna waste any time though, we're gonna do a little bit of mining for some clay since I think we're gonna need quite a lot of it. Good morning, is it safe? Just a few stragglers left, nothing much of a hassle. Bones? I think we can use these later to break down into calcium. Cool. Even better though, on day 2 of our universe, the animals have spawned in. Finally, a food source. Right then, back to making bricks for our next project. While they cook, we can make up a petal apothecary, a wooden bucket, and if we craft 2 hydrogen and an oxygen together, we can make some good old H2O. And combining that with a bucket will fill it full of water. Incredible stuff. We can then use 2 of those to make an infinite water source. This is a very hostile planet. I think very soon we're going to need to try and make a safer place to live, because right now hiding away is wasting a ton of time each night. Daytime! We'll craft 2 lots of 2 clay into some clay shear part, which can then be fired on a campfire. Then those 2 parts can be combined into ceramic shears. Now we just need to find some sheep, but on the way it is worth grabbing all of the different colours of Botania flowers. Huzzah! Some sheep! Tidy job. As for getting home, we can simply just use the teleport to teleport us, and we can finally make a bed and sleep the night away. Oh no, that is not a good sign that we have the sleep mod installed for accelerating time. Ah good, we can crouch click the bed to sleep normally. It's still a bit worrying thinking about why we might need to sleep to accelerate time. Moving on, we chuck 5 white petals and some seeds into our apothecary, we'll craft a pure daisy. The first thing we'll do is use it to convert some clay blocks into terracotta. We'll use that to craft up what I assume is going to be the first of many botany pots. We can then craft a wooden hopper, upgrade it to brick, and then turn them into hopping botany pots for some early automation. We can also now make up some storage drawers to help keep things tidy. For now we're going to throw in some wheat, so at least bread can be on the menu at some point. Back to Botania. We'll pop some cobblestone around the pure daisy to first make stone, then into smooth stone. Then we'll pop down more cobble and let that run all of the way to the end of its daisy cycle. I think we're going to make up a second pure daisy, and that way we can make both living stone and living wood at the same time. We'll use the first batch of rock to make a mana pool, but for the mana spreader we need a cosmic ingot. That means a few more exploding stars, so let me get that done real quick and I'll be right back. That's the cosmic ingot, which is just melted cosmic dust. And for some reason we can't autofill the recipe. I guess we gotta do this manually like a muggle. Such sadness. That's the mana spreader. Now how are we gonna generate some mana? Yeah, it's probably gonna be the endo flame. It's just too easy. Bloop. Mana pool, mana spreader, and some endo flames. Throw on some furnace fuel and some small amounts of mana will generate slowly. Emphasis on slowly. I suppose we should also grab the Wand of the Forest too. Now it's on to some custom mechanics. If under our mana pool we pop down a block of nothingness, we can throw some cosmic powder in and get some mana powder. We'll use that to make a runic altar, and of course, now it's on to the runes. A guaranteed way to make us go and find a random assortment of items. That's the fire runes at least. And a little while later the rest of the runes. That's nearly everything for the scroller transmutation. We just need paper. That's as easy as stripping some logs to get some bark, and 3 bark makes a paper. We'll throw it all onto the runic altar and it looks like it fails, but thankfully the runes are also returned to us. Then finally using some Fe and a mana pool we can make a cauldron. And if we use a scroll on it, we'll transform it into a crucible from reactive. That has now unlocked the industrial age, and I think we should try and get the litmus paper first, as it'll help us understand what reagents are in our crucible. For that, we are going to need mind power. The quests show mercy and explain what items make each type of power. For mind, we'll need a nitrogen-filled crucible. It's quite simple. You throw the nitrogen in, add in the paper, and it spits out the litmus paper. Now we can right-click on the crucible and it'll tell us that we have got low mind power. Well, that's offensive! Next we need to transmute smooth stone with acid into compressed stone. Acid we can get from phosphorus. Pop phosphorus in, add in smooth stone, nice and easy. Easier than trying to say pop phosphorus. Pop the phosphorus, pop phosphorus. We can also throw Fe into the acid to get compressed iron, and it's at this point we now unlock furnace making. Yay! Now before I cut away and gather some resources, we can dig right down to below bedrock. Then just before we get there, poof! We are teleported away to a new dimension, Purgatory. Real quick, we can add this to our temp pad so we can teleport back here later, and Purgatory seems to be the place where we'll find villagers. I'm not sure how useful they are. We are here because in the ceiling of every house is some loot boxes. And you know how much I really love 3 things. Literally 3 tin, lead, copper and iron. And 4 barrels in each house. Like after 2 minutes of work here we have got 2 stacks of iron and a whole bunch of other goodies. Very nice. And it means now that we can make some iron armor and be safe from dying from 1 hit from a mob. Did I mention how hard they hit? Check out the zombie jump scare.
Shoot, that made me jump. Look at my health. Look at my health.
That is some real damage. So we should now be able to craft up some reinforced stone, then bricks, and then finally pressure chamber wall. In order for us to get some glass for the pressure tubes, we'll need sand. That's easy though because we can just toggle through grass with a philosopher's stone to get as much as we want. Just 1 for now please to make some pressure tubes, though undoubtedly we are going to need more soon. We need pressure chamber interfaces, glass, and lastly an air compressor. Now we just build a 3x3 pressure chamber and we are good to go. We just throw furnace fuel into the compressor and it'll slowly generate pressure. But before we dig any further into pneumatic craft, I think we should probably start to automate some cosmic dust. Let me get some materials together and I'll show you what I mean. With a few bits and bobs, this 5x5 machine here now will slowly start to generate small amounts of cosmic dust, which we are going to need a lot of. We also now have a hole with sheep in it and I'm not exactly sure why I did that. It's giving me the vibe of playing Minecraft for the first time. We've also got a couple more botany pots growing away, and it turns out sugarcane can be made with some leaves, so that's nice and easy and done. As for spruce, we can again cycle through them with the philosopher's stone. It's very useful. In the pressure chamber I went ahead and made the gold dust, copper dust and iron dust, and now we just need to smelt those into ingots. Quest complete. This time with red concrete powder under the mana pool we can throw in cosmic dust and transmute it into redstone. Then with no modifier we can turn the gold ingot into a mana steel. Then to finish off this quest line we need to get terra steel, which means a bunch more rune crafting I think, and I'm not excited. No, it's the ones that we made earlier, that is so good to hear. We will however need a block of mana steel and lapis, which it looks like we get from blue concrete and more cosmic dust. Ignoring that for now, let's make up a refinery controller for pneumatic craft and a total of 4 refinery outputs. Controller at the bottom, 4 outputs on top. Of course, all of this is going to change later when I build an actual base, so for now everything is kinda haphazardly placed. Now, I don't actually know where to find crude oil, but this pack has been out for like a year now, so I think I'll do a quick Google. It turns out we need to dig down in purgatory. I would never have worked that out for myself. 140 blocks down later and we have it. We can use a gas lift to extract it. We just need to supply some compressed air and some gas tube things. At half a bar of pressure we have got ourselves some crude oil. Better make sure to save this location to the temp pad and let's head home. We can add in the crude oil and if we pop lava underneath it'll slowly convert that crude oil into diesel, kerosene, gasoline and LPG. For now we only really care about the LPG. Oh, and once it turns to obsidian we can transmute it back to lava with a philosopher's stone. So let's craft up a thermopneumatic processing plant which is going to sit next to the lava because it also needs heat. Then while we wait for a full bucket of LPG to generate, let's make up a click machine. We'll place it next to the lava and throw in our philosopher's stone. Now whenever the lava turns into obsidian, it'll also convert back into lava. That is peak efficiency. With a bucket of LPG, we can throw it into the thermopneumatic processing plant with some coal to start processing it into molten plastic. Next we're going to need a heat frame in order to cool this down. Chest first, heat frame on top, and now we just need to make this chest super duper cold. For that, you guessed it, a vortex tube. If you did guess it, leave a like on the video. We'll have the blue side facing the chest, and then just apply some pressure. The molten plastic then turns into regular plastic, and that is a win for Team Hobble. Ah, great. Now we get to do the rest of the pneumatic craft, sequenced assembly for circuit boards. So let's ignore that, and after smelting down some charcoal, we have some graphite ingots. Let's use those to craft up the transmutation table, which has given us access to equivalent exchange. Like, we can throw in graphite ingots and provided we got enough EMC, we can withdraw an infinite amount of them. More importantly, we can now take every element that we own and sell it to the transmutation table. So provided that we have discovered it, we can now print any and all elements that we may need. It's very powerful. Even better, should we need EMC, we can just spam some cosmic dust for a ton of elements. However, what time Project E saves us in the early game, it is gonna take back tenfold in the late game. It's powerful, but very unforgiving. There is no avoiding it any longer. We need to process some circuit boards. Wait, no, I found something. Let's jump into the crude oil. Whee! Dig, hobble, dig! Welcome to Inferis, the underworld. Netherrack, quartz, basalt, Hungary. We can now use the netherrack as a mana pool augment, and we can turn cosmic dust into glowstone. We can now make up some redstone lamps and finally a UV light box, because surprise, we are still working on circuits. This one needs pressure. An etching tank, this one needs no pressure. Oh, gold dust can be taught to the table. That means that we don't need to make it in the pressure chamber anymore. Speaking of the pressure chamber, if we throw in a stack of plastic, 2 of redstone torches and 3 of gold nuggets, we'll start to produce empty PCBs. Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier that I made the temporal pouch, which is a time in a bottle that'll let us speed up machines later. We'll also need slime for etching fluid, which is just milk and green dye. I already made that though, so please don't be mad. I've also made a start on a foundation for our base. It's floating, so hopefully I will not need to sleep for the night anymore. Because no caves means the mob cap goes crazy. Now, since blaze rods have an EMC value, it made sense to semi-automate mana using them because we're gonna need a lot of mana quite soon. Okay, I've been diligently speeding up the air compressor, never letting it hit 5 bars to prevent explosions, so hopefully soon we'll have some PCBs. That's done it, 3 stacks of empty PCBs. They go into the UV light box, one at a time. Maybe 3 stacks was too many. I guess we can use hoppers to automate this bit. After some time, we have the first 100% etch success chance. You know what, we can just put them straight into the etching tank instead of a chest. And that is 2 unassembled PCBs. It's a start. Oh my goodness, we can charge our temporal pouch by sleeping the weird way. The problem is we are struggling to get higher than 11 times game speed. It's not ideal. However, if we teleport to a bed in the sky, and now we sleep, we get a 14 times speed buff. Then, if we set render distance all the way to the lowest and sleep, we are getting 30 to 40 times game speed. It is all dependent on hardware, and at this moment in time, I am running on a 9-year-old PC. The reason is, it is simulating the entire Minecraft world as fast as it can. So if Phantom spawned right now, they'd be moving 40 times quicker. If you have a more expensive or newer PC, you'll easily get 500 to 1000 times quicker. Oh well. Moving on, let's set up the assembly, the platform in the middle and the rest surrounding it. I use some diesel to make some speed upgrades, because by default this thing is slower than a 5-year-old telling a story. I also ordered the laser assembly program from the Amazon tablet. Now if we throw some redstone into the input chest, it'll laser 8 of them into 2 flux dust. The final part of this chapter is the terrasteel ingot. I literally can't ignore it any further. But thanks to editing, we have the terrestrial agglomeration plate. You should definitely subscribe for that time I just saved you. We place down 5 living rock, 4 lapis blocks and the plate in the center. Pop on a spark links to the mana pool, copper, mana steel and iron, and we'll get some fancy particles to say it's working. Anime sword sound means that we've got the first of probably many terrasteel. There's more. Peripheral casing. That's 5, hopefully that's enough. What? Why is the reward the Amazon tablet? We clearly already have one of those for those previous quests. 2 of them as a reward. I don't get it. Ah well, we're on to the digital age. Why does the quest say to visit the Nether? We literally had to go there to complete the previous chapter. At least it's nice and easy because we can just teleport back there. Ah, naughty piggy. I guess we are going to need a lot of quartz for refined storage. For power, it suggests using mana. I'm not really sure how well that's going to work. We're going to cross that bridge later. I think I want to finally get moved into this Skyblock Island. That means moving everything over here. I'll see you soon. Okay, so we're not fully moved in yet, but there's something I want to talk to you about real quick. I made a bunch of these cosmic dust machines because we're gonna need a lot. I also crafted up a bunch more runes because we can now get into some more alchemistry with the dissolver, compactor and combiner. The reason we need to do this is to get into the bigger reactors and diamonds, mostly so power isn't going to be limited by mana production. That's the dissolver made, and I've just noticed that it's consumed the runes. Why is that a thing? Runes are one of the most annoying things to make. Well, for now I've made the mana flux field, let's use it for now to power the dissolver. This is one of the ways that we can use to fill out this periodic table, dissolving items into their elemental form. Let's try out andesite. We get silicon dioxide, potassium chloride, aluminum oxide, and platinum. Nice. So, I have got some rune crafting to do, and I need to finish moving everything over here. I will see you in 3, 2, 1. Almost a perfect cut. We are moved in and we are nice and green. Not sure on any designs just yet, but the hard part of moving is done. I know that we are going to need a ton of flat space later, so we'll just see what happens. So the first thing that I did was make a flux network, because once you have one block of flux dust, you can just make more easily. The benefit is there is no assembly required for it. Next, I made a simple bigger reactor to supply the power to our base. It uses uranium ingots and they have an EMC value. It also spits out cyanite, and I am so happy to see that it's got no uses here. As for the microcrafting, I went ahead and made the basic refined storage items. It is the same as it always is, so I saved you some time again. Subscribe. So the next progression on the list is building the alchemistry fission and fusion chambers. This will allow splitting and combining of more difficult or niche elements. But I do think a refined storage would be a nice addition because backpack crafting is driving me a little bit mad. For example, there is no shift clicking recipes into the crafting grid. Everything is manual. But silicon is amazing because it's got an EMC value. Yay. We'll need a controller, a grid, some cable, probably an exporter which the quests say to upgrade to an elite version, then a creative exporter. I'm gonna pass on that until later. A crafting grid, hook up to power, and a disk drive. Oh, and I guess we'll probably need to craft up some storage parts as well. 16K will probably do for now. If you're curious, quartz does not have an EMC value, but I also made a pattern grid and a crafter just in case we need it. It's dump time! Yeah, I should probably connect the draw controller too, that would be helpful. Okay, there is a part of this chapter that is ridiculous. Every item from Project Expansion, the flowers, the matters, the everything. Why? The shard needs 1 quadrillion EMC or 8 colossal omegas. So we're all moved into refined storage, and boy does that feel really good. This pack is a real roller coaster of emotions, dread and relief. So to finish off the non-crazy parts of refined storage, we need an ender pearl. I have yet to see an enderman, but I believe we can make one from scratch. Silicon, mercury and neodymium. They go into the combiner and out pop some ender pearls. Wireless transmitter quest complete. Now I'm gonna guess how to make the fission and fusion chambers before I look up a tutorial. Yeah, that's not it. I'll see you in a bit. How have we made it this far and forgotten that the rending gale exists? I am so silly. Providing we have some EMC in our inventory, we now have creative flight. Amazing. Next, I would like to link all of our dust generators together into one inventory. That way we can auto-generate elements to sell for EMC. To do this, we're going to use LaserIO. Each drawer gets a laser node, and we'll connect them all together into one laser network. Now on the bottom side, we'll pop in an item card and set that to extract. Except for the main drawer, which will of course be an insert. Now, since the nodes are all connected to one network, all of the items will be extracted from those other drawers and sent to the main drawer in the middle for opening. The concern is that currently we are not keeping up with the energy condensing, but that's because there's a bit of a backlog. Thankfully, temporal pouch. Back to progression. So we now have the fission and fusion chambers, and honestly I was so very close with my guess on how it was built. It turns out though we don't actually need these until much later, so I have no idea why the quest said to make them now. But okay, the Mark 1 energy condenser was far too slow even with the temporal pouch. So now we have 2 Mark IIs and we're using lasers to move the elements into them. I mean, we had like 20,000 cosmic dust to get through, and each one spits out a handful of elements each. It's overkill now that the backlog is dealt with, but I couldn't risk 100,000 items spewing onto the floor. It was a little bit spooky. Using a little dark matter, we can now craft up a transmutation tablet, giving us access to our exchangeables on the go. Now, it is time for some pain. We need to work through all of the tiers of power flowers, EMC links, and matters. 1 basic link, making sure to learn every item as we progress through the crafting tree. 1 basic relay, 1 basic collector, 1 basic compressed collector, and 1 basic power flower Mark 1. We could place this down now and slowly start to generate some passive EMC. It costs 2.4 million EMC to make, so it's going to be 6.5 hours before we make a return on investment. Yeah, no, we've got speed, so we're going to bump that all the way up to 26,000 per second. Just a polite reminder though that we need quadrillions of EMC for the end game, so we must push on and get the Mark II, the Mark III, the Mark IV, each requiring a handful of tiered items just like we did for basic. Well, this is now my evening ruined, and it's time for me to go and get that done. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I thought I was being clever by using the Watch of Flowing Time, but with it disabled we make 306 EMC, with it enabled we make 306 EMC. Why on earth is this thing disabled? What a silly choice to make in such an EMC heavy mod pack. This is now artificially making the mod pack longer than it needed to be. I mean, I guess we can go 30 times faster using a bed, but that is still so very slow. We're up to Violet and I'm sort of getting into a rhythm. You make links, you learn links. You make a collector and you learn collector. Make relay, learn relay. You take 9 collectors and compress them and learn them. 6 relays and 1 link. And craft the next tier of power flower and learn that. You then withdraw a bunch of the new tier power flower, place them down and go crazy with the temporal pouch. Then you check the EMC value of the next flower, and once you have more than that you can start the craft cycle all over again. Once crafted, you speed them up, you check the EMC value of the next power flower, and you start that craft cycle all over again. And there's all the matters to do as well. I don't like this. It's pointless and unnecessary and such a waste of time. This is a theme, but it is not why this mod pack got my medal for being the worst mod pack. For that, you're gonna have to keep watching because things get so much worse. Are we having fun? Why would anyone want to do this? The final power flower needs 31 quadrillion EMC and each fading flower produces 19 billion per second. And it also cost us 13 trillion to make. And now there is a massive jump up to 30 quadrillion. It took so dang long. But we have enough EMC, so I'm just gonna ultimine this lot and just be done with this. No complaining, just whatever. And I fully gave up on the temporal pouch by the way, and I just slept and slept and slept. Much fun. That was 7 stacks of fading power flowers, and it still took forever to get the EMC for even just one of the final flowers. Checking out the quests, we have got green ticks across the board, all but the final few items, including but not limited to the 18 tiers of Omega stars. It all starts with a Klein star Ein and ends with a Colossal star Omega. We'll need 8 of those plus another star which we're going to craft up next. That's right, we're going to craft it. We have titanium, but we're going to need to synthesize the other elements. We can use the fusion chamber to fuse together sodium and neodymium to make lutetium. And to explain, if we look at the atomic numbers of each element and add them together, for zirconium and iron you get 66. Dysprosium has the atomic number of 66, which is the one that we need. And I believe the fission chamber would then split this into 2 33s. Finally, we'll combine with potassium and lead to get a mendelevium, which for some reason does not have an EMC value. That's fine though because lead and potassium do. Apparently we can even speed up this multi-block. I hope it doesn't explode. They all go into the combiner and out pops as many stars as we would like. Never mind, they have an EMC value, even better. We'll craft it with the colossal stars and that is the final star shard crafted, and 100% we're gonna save this recipe. We'll use 2 of them to make the final EMC link, and that, my friends, is the final power flower that'll generate 48 trillion EMC per second. If we pop this down, it's gonna take 11 minutes to generate enough EMC to buy a second one. Yeah, I'm not waiting 11 minutes. The final part of this chapter is gonna have us visit the end by digging down in the nether. Why do I have a quest to make 64 apple pies? That is 3 stacks of apples, and the rates have been reduced. Why? If a dragon fight is coming, we may as well take advantage of Project E and make the invincibility armor, and probably the red matter sword. At this point, I'm just gonna go and make the armor. This video has already been overtaken by Project E, and it will be nice to move on to something else. So I'll see you soon. Done. Much fun. To be fair, it didn't actually take that long. Since we have creative flight, we can just dig straight down with no fear of fall damage. We have reached the end. We are also invincible, so we can literally just chase it with a sword. Come here, you. There was no challenge. Why was that even included as a requirement? So, now the weeds are about to hit the farm. We must now make a command block and summon the Witherstorm. Dollar stone and a dragon egg makes a command block, and that is the end of Minecraft. If only we were done. So we have the command block, and I went ahead and made some soul sand and wither skulls with some of the elephants, nothing too fancy. If we claim the reward in the end, the tentacle fellow himself is gonna spawn in. Now, we wait. We'll get picked up by the purple laser beams, but we are invincible, so there's really nothing that can happen to us. We give him a tap, and they let go. He is now going to start consuming this dimension, and all we need to do is wait for some mini bosses to spawn that's going to drop some key items. One little problem with this guy, and it is just a tiny little oversight. The Witherstorm from this mod needs to be spawned at world generation. You are supposed to spend this entire growth cycle gearing up, kind of getting ready to defeat him before the world is destroyed. Because of that, he generates slowly to give you actual time to gear up. Now, for some bizarre reason, this mod pack has him spawn in as the final quests. So, I'm gonna sit here for a bit and wait for the mini bosses to spawn so we can get those vital items. Yeah, that's not foreshadowing their importance at all. Nothing's gonna go wrong with this idea. Nothing. It's been 2 hours. The end is starting to look like the creepers threw a party, and he is still not very big. Another hour has passed and we have a new health bar, the mini boss. Let's get that important item. Well, I hit him once and now he seems to be stuck and unattackable. Ah, you get him from behind. Now he's awake. He's clapping his hands at me. Okay, that's kind of funny. Got him. That was so tough, but thank goodness it is done. So, can you die or what? He's gone. He's gone. We got withered flesh. That's not exactly the item that we were looking for. So, we must wait for another mini boss. This is not going well. Wait, no, we did get one. It must have spawned further than the magnet range and it was only picked up when I flew back to my spot. Oh, we're going to use that to make some super TNT. And now, according to all instructions, of which there are none, we place this down in his laser beam and light it. He should then pick it up and damage should be done. Please pick it up. I don't think he picked it up. I'm gonna be honest with you, I am getting a little bit frustrated at this point, and it's not helping that every 30 seconds his laser beam drags me up very slowly towards him, though it is not the boss's fault. Why is he included at the end of the mod pack when he should specifically be spawned at the start? Well, I am back to my AFK spot. Maybe the first TNT was user error, I'm kinda just hoping now that a new mini boss will spawn. I'll see you soon. Okay, I was wrong. You craft the super TNT into a formidabomb. So if we can just please light this up, please. Here it goes. The end island is, it's kinda got a big hole in it. Ooh, I think it might be defeated. He's exploding. My friends, the Witherstorm is gone. We just break his command block and... Buddy, no, what are you doing? Why are you awake again? Why are you awake again? Full health bar, but now you have 2 friends. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. That does look pretty cool. A new mini boss. Fantastic. I think we're gonna need another formidabomb. Whoa, no, stay away from the void. He's gone. He voided himself. I quit. I quit. Okay, after a second mini-boss voided himself, we had a visit from a fairy who delivered the book that he drops, and we're going to use that to make a command block sword. I'm not proud of that one. Hi honey. The sword is the final item that we need. Now all we have to do is wait for a portal to open up on his body somewhere to take us to his heart. If you're curious, this is what has become of our lovely end island so far. You can still see the dragon's portal in the center. I'm gonna hide under this pillar AFK until the pillar is gone. Then I'm gonna move on to this one probably because it's got much more AFK time inside. I'll see you soon. 2 hours later, and no portal. From what I can tell online, the speed at which this grows is configurable based on how many blocks it needs to eat. The developer of this pack has chosen this as their endgame speed, unless they didn't know. But surely they play tested this before releasing it over a year ago. This is just too much. There was the long AFK for EMC, and now an even longer AFK in the end. And it's not even close to using all the blocks needed to repair its head. This is just too much. Hi, it's Future Hobble here. I appreciate past Hobble recording some B-roll as it's going to give me something to talk over. This mod pack was a bad time, but a few months after I beat this mod pack, there was an update that added a quest option to skip this boss. For a full year, it was decided that this was the intended way to play this mod pack. In my opinion, that's not okay. I feel like developers should, even just a little bit, care about their players and respect their time. Some mod packs are intentionally long, and that's okay. This is not gameplay. It's an AFK simulator. An AFK simulator that uses a bed mod that punishes those with cheaper or older PCs like I had. Now, I understand that you may feel I made a few mistakes with this boss, and I'm probably going to agree with you on most of them. But as a player, the only information I had to go on was to defeat the Witherstorm, with no hints or clues on how to do it. Okay, I think that is enough ranting. I generally try to present positive vibes on this channel, silver linings and all that good stuff. But 2 years later, I am still struggling to find one. By the way, there's absolutely no shade to be thrown at the creator of the Witherstorm mod. If this was spawned at the start of a long mod pack, it would be incredibly cool and intense to see. I mean, imagine seeing this boss on the horizon, you can see him coming towards you, devouring the land around. It's gonna be very cool. This is likely not the implementation that they had in mind for their mod. Yeah. 3 hours since the last recording, there is still no portal. 2 hours later, still no portal, and now I'm kind of worrying that what if he runs out of blocks to eat as there's kind of only a little bit of the end left. Oh, it really does look good though. So much work went into this mod, fair play. So, I have no idea if sleeping to speed him up will work since he's not exactly chunk loaded, but I do take damage here occasionally, so the game kind of knows he's there. I spent around 10 minutes sleeping at around 30 times speed, and I'm really not seeing any changes. What even is the point anymore? I have been here for a full day in real life, just AFKing. But not too AFK of course, because when I do get picked up by him, I gotta go back to hiding or he kinda just stops working. Maybe. I don't know, it feels like he stops. I am so dang bored. I am invincible, I'm playing my favourite game, and I'm bored. This is not okay. And for 100%, we still also need to make that stack of apple pies for some reason, and even more pneumatic craft assembly for an advanced pipe. Oh, for one pie, the reward is a Captain Sparkle's head? Is a stack of apple pies inspired by him or something? Let me know. So, for 3 gold, we can just straight up complete the Hex chapter. Much wow. What even is that quest? These are all of the elements that we are missing for the periodic table. I guess I can work on that? I mean, it's just math in the Fusion controller. I'll see you in a little bit. Bye! Welcome back. So I could lie to you now and say that I accidentally stopped recording yada yada yada, but the honest truth is after over a day of waiting, I used a command to get the Witherstorm to his final size. It has been 7 hours since we lit that Formidabomb. The first command you want to write into chat if you were not to heed my warning is this. It sets the consumed blocks to 3.2 million, almost guaranteeing that it has eaten enough. The second command sets the evolution speed to 32, meaning it checks to see if it's full much quicker. Now look, in my defense, I waited and waited. But you have to draw the line somewhere. That said, Through the portal you spawn inside his stomach, and you have to hit the center command block a few times, each time spawning that annoying symbiont guy that you can only hit from behind. Finally you get to defeat the command block, and there is a very cool cinematic fade to white. That looked incredible. We get the withered nether star, and you'd think that's Modpack complete. You'd be wrong. We need to craft the final star. We need 8 final power flowers, which if we didn't have enough EMC would mean even more AFK time. Done. GG, you win. But did I win? I kind of feel like a loser. So we need a dragon head for the creative exporter, and of course we don't have 4 of the ultimate ones. 64 apple pies chapter complete. Please work. 1 creative exporter chapter complete. That's it. UniversIO 100% complete. Okay, I missed cadmium, but now we have all chapters complete. My honest thoughts on what I have been through in this mod pack? Do not play. It was such a really cool concept for a mod pack, but it kind of feels like the developer got bored halfway through. So they just pushed in some random stuff instead of shelving the project for when they got more inspiration. There's no way a year after launch it should still be like this. But I kind of feel a bit harsh, so let's see what some other creators thought about this.
In all seriousness, I do apologize. Like, I don't feel super happy with the way that the boss fight went, and like, I'm sorry about that being the finale.
I quite enjoyed this pack right up until that final boss fight. This boss fight is not good. It's bad.
That took forever to kill that guy. It was actually insane. Hours taken to slay that guy.
That was a fun multi-episode journey, wasn't it? That was cool.
Well, pretty much the same sentiment as me, except of course Direwolf20 thought it was pretty cool. As I mentioned earlier, you should probably subscribe to help me ease my pain. I promise you it will help. It took me 2 years to get over that rage quit and make this video. Was it worth it? You'll have to let me know.